Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest, CEO Jeff Thompson with RCAT Holdings. RCAT Holdings is emerging as a key player in the defense-oriented drone market through its innovative technologies, strategic partnerships, and focus on secure U.S. manufactured solutions. These efforts underscore its potential to shape the future of unmanned aerial systems in both military and commercial domains. Establishing partnerships with Paladine AI, Palantir Technologies, Tomahawk Robotics, and Reveal Technology has expanded the company's offering with a keen focus on military applications and helping our warfighters through their innovative subsidiaries, Teal Drones and FlightWave Aerospace, with Black Widow, Tricon, and Fang drones designed to meet the stringent DoD standards. This is not to be taken as investment advice. I am not a certified financial planner. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. I encourage everyone to do their own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a long overdue, but look, he's got so much stuff going on. RCAT, Jeff Thompson, coming in to just share some things that have been happening with the company, where you're at, and maybe give a little bit of guidance of where what people can expect. How about that? Yeah.
I don't want to set expectations as a public company, but it's been a crazy few weeks. Been on the road since we did that investor conference in New York, which we got a great response from, and then going out and visiting a lot of drone companies. I spent a day on out in the cold, out in Palo Alto world, and saw some really cool, interesting large drones there. And then did the AIPCon conference, which was exciting, and met a lot of great leaders there, and got to hang out with the Palantir team. Amazing company, still function like a startup, but one of the most competent software companies I've ever dealt with. We're building 2 factories right now, so lots going on. And I know that you've been pinging me constantly for your viewers that follow, and when the heck is our earnings call and this and that. But so it's Monday. I think it's gonna be 4:30 on the 31st. But just to be very frank, it's literally a nothing burger, because we're doing a stub. They call it a stub period, and we're finally switching to the calendar year. So we are only going to have November and December added to the last earnings that we did to be our 10K, which only includes November and December, which was, gosh, I can't remember back then. But also 2 holiday months. So there's not much going on in this 2-month period that we're adding to the last earnings release that we did, but it does give us our 10K that we need to switch to a calendar year. We're already gung-ho. There's no analysts that have a 2-month estimate on November, December. So all the previous analysts were covering us, except for the newest one that came out last week. They had like a January year end. So all their numbers are wrong and not going to match or do anything. So kind of a nothing burger. And it's even worse than that. We just got our new CFO, which is I think he's going to be incredible for the company. And he just came on. He wanted to come on early. Didn't even want to take a break. But the SEC said that he had to sign the 10K, and he's only here for a few days. And I'm like, I'm not even going to ask him to do that. So we had to make me interim CFO again until after the 10K. And by the way, if he said that he would sign it after, it takes a month or 2 to review a 10K. So that would have been a little weird. It might have put up some red flags. But anyway, so it's just going to be me on Monday. But because of that, we got such a great response from our investor day um, in New York that we're going to do a town hall, hopefully within 7 to 14 days after Monday.
Okay.
And we're going to have the whole team on. We're going to have myself. We'll have Hitchcock, our new CFO, Chris Erickson. We're going to have Brendan, who does all the work on the Hill with the continuing resolution. And Stan will be running the show, and I promise he's not going to disappear this time. So we'll have the full team, and I think people will be able to ask a lot of questions, not just to me, not just to the CFO, to get a really good full picture of what's going on for 2025.
Yeah.
Again, we haven't changed our guidance. We're still at the minimum of 80 million for 2025. We're got 2 factories going right now. As
So
I mentioned,
let me focus on what you just said for a second here.
sure.
You said minimum 80 million. That's the low number for
Yep.
2025, right? Now, there's there's so much speculation out there about all these different scenarios, all these different things. New administration, would it be fair? Is it fair to say that basically you don't really have a contract right now with the SRR, or is it fair to say that, and that it could be you could not have any contract at all because of this administration change?
No. So when you get down selected, like I said, we've had to go review this so many times, and I'm not going to comment on what's signed and what's not signed. So we did get our down selection. That's public information as of November.
Okay.
And then you negotiate. As I said, we got a features enhancement that we have to do. Then we go into LRIP, and then we go into mass production. Nothing has changed whatsoever. As I mentioned on the investor day, they have already certain budget, and that's our SRR guidance was 25 to 65. And because of that, the low end of that is what they actually have available to spend without worrying about the continuing resolution. And then we also get 1 full quarter of 2026. But with this new administration, if you're not some people are saying that everyone's going to lose their contracts, Doge is going to kick everybody out. But
Yeah.
if you actually listen to what Doge is doing, what Elon Musk said at West Point, you got to use AI and drones.
Right.
If you listen to what Dr. Karp said on some recent interviews, he says we're all going to be using smaller, smarter weapons. If you listen to it, literally what they're saying at Doge is we got to move into drone swarms. So smarter, smaller, less expensive, but in mass. Mass is the word we keep hearing about as we've been really focused on Indo-PACOM recently. Mass is a big word, and it's not mass like the old days of people. It's of drones. So, right. And not just aerial drones. You're talking USVs, like all the stuff that basically pushed the Russian fleet out of the Ukrainian space. When I was at AIPCon, they took us all out to dinner, and I got to meet with the founder of the company that just did. He was sitting across from me from Saronic. They're building a USB company. They just did around. I think they raised $600 million at like a $4 billion valuation. There's a lot of activity in that space. Capability to put drones on those things. Swarms going to into the Taiwan Strait, and one of the guys from Anduril was there at that dinner. It's a lot of smart people at that conference that are going to help shape the next few years of the Department of Defense. So it was really fun to be with a bunch of folks like that.
Let's make this real clear. You're not there as a competitor. You are there working together, talking about the industry and where it's heading.
Yeah, and Anduril does not have an SRR drone. They're on their I think their smallest drone is their MRR drone, the Anduril Ghost, which got down selected for MRR. They also got a lot of other, a lot more drones and other avenues. They got submarines. They've done a lot of acquisitions. They throw a lot of stuff against the wall, and they're doing great. They're a great company. It's good to get to know some of those guys. And I'm sure we'll be working alongside them to help the warfighter.
Right. I mean, I look at it, Jeff. I mean, would this be fair to say? I mean, there. I know there's all kinds of articles coming out about the cheap drones from Ukraine, right? They've got somebody over there that's making all these cheap drones. There are cheap drones out there, right? Those cheap drones don't have the capabilities of what your drones have, not even remotely
No,
close.
everyone gets good. FPV drones are just really basic drones that can do really incredible stuff. I've been in the FPV space since 2016. You can do so much with those drones, but they're also limited. They don't have a lot of brains. They don't have a lot of compute. If you start doing all this extra stuff on an FPV drone, it basically becomes an ISR drone and they're not cheap anymore. And they're not made in the USA. Most of those drones have Chinese parts in the Ukraine, could never be used in the United States. So and there's a lot of companies we're meeting with that are from the Ukraine that want U.S. partners to be manufactured in the United States. There's going to be a lot of opportunity in the Ukraine over the next 6 to 9 months, and everybody knows it, so it's not a secret. But there's a lot of opportunity because if that winds down, there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to be out of revenue and want to be looking at the DoD, and with their small weapons, they're going to need a USA partner for made in USA parts.
Right. Okay. I mean, so let's talk about the F1 the 130, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
you've said repeatedly that people are underestimating that drone, right?
Yeah, no, it's never been mass produced. We just opened up the factory. We are building drones every day. We had a great call yesterday with the team in the factory and got some shipments going already over to some overseas partners in the Indo-PACOM region, and they'll be making drones every month from now on. And it's a really capable drone. It does everything it says it does on a spec sheet. We need to. Our goal is to switch it to the Triton instead of the Edge 130, which will put in an EW capable radio like we have in the Black Widow, and then to enhance the camera. And at that point, it's just really an incredible drone. The fact that it can fly so long, the fact that it can hover as a fixed wing, the fact that it can go from vertical to horizontal flight in just 5 seconds. It just does stuff that no one else does. We just have to mass produce it. We just have to get them out in the wild and get some feedback, which we've finally got a little bit of feedback from some of the initial customers we finally shipped to, which was how we got the TL2 to improve. So all the same typical stuff. You get it out in the wild, you find out what it can do and what it can't do. And so when we do this second rev, that's going to be the Triton. She's going to be a beautiful bird.
So you did some debt financing, right?
Yeah.
So how are you? How do you feel you're set for financing for right now?
It depends, and believe it or not, it's the weirdest thing. There's a lot of large shareholders that want us to raise money, and they never usually say that, but they do see the opportunity so large, and we're just being patient. This when this market got nailed over the last 4 to 6 weeks. I'm glad what we did the debt before this, but we would just, if we ever do any raises, it's going to be at the right time, and if we need it, not just because we want to do a raise. We might bolt on a small amount here and there, but not right now. And we'll probably wait until we find out about the Office of Strategic Capital, which has already got appropriated.
Right. So that's the highlight that again real quick. That though.
Yeah. So I've applied for a lot of federal money over the years in all my companies, and I've never even got a response most of the time. We've actually had 2 additional meetings since we filed with the Office of Strategic Capital for $58 million. It's very low cost debt, and there's a lot of other things that you can do once it's due to extend it or re-up some stuff or whatever. But we're getting feedback, which is it's makes me feel like there's actually a chance on this, because every other time I've filed for federal money, it always seems like it's a boondoggle and you never get it. We're not depending on it. But $58 million of very inexpensive money is much cheaper than doing a financing. But as we get these contracts in, even LRIP, we'll be getting 50% up front. So, we're not going to cut off our nose to spite our face, just because we don't want to raise money. And some people even say, "Hey, you're a larger shareholder. You're being too you're being too stingy. You need to bulk this balance sheet up so you can go faster." And we're not being slowed down right now at all. If it ever does slow us down, we'll raise a little bit of money. But like I said, we're not gonna pounce on everything with like $100 million round or something like that.
Jeff, you still have a majority of your shares, right? Your majority.
I sold 500,000 in December, but I all my shares vested, so I'm plus 90 shares compared to that day. So I have more shares now than I had in December.
Okay. All right. So you're not dumping.
Nope. No.
No.
And that was actually the first liquidity that most of us had because we did the spin out with UMAC and we were all locked up for almost 2 years. So that was kind of a once in a lifetime situation. Everyone's got everyone knows why you buy a stock, and everyone knows there's 1,000 reasons to sell for employees, or they got tuition, or this or that. But I have more shares now than I had before.
Right. This is I read all these different articles, different things that they assume about Red Cat. I don't look at you as a little startup anymore. I look at you as you're one of the players now, right? Is that do you think that's an inaccurate way to look at you?
Well, we're winning a program of record, which I was with a lot of companies at the AIP Con, which have not won their first program of record, and they asked me a lot of questions about it. How do you do it? How long does it take? And you don't realize what an achievement it is, and how it can help out your company to start. It took Aero Environment, I think, 15 years to get their first program of record. So I would agree that we're very well known in the industry now, along with seeing all the banners at the conference where just a few of our names on there, and all those names are pretty cool to be alongside. But we're a lot of them don't have a program of record yet that we're on that on those banners. So I agree. Yeah, we're well known throughout the DoD. We are making our name for ourselves. People know who we are now. Same in NATO. And I know everyone's, when's your NATO contract? When are you going to get a NATO contract? Blah, blah, blah. But a lot of that stuff's been changing by the week, specifically with all the Trump and Zelensky stuff. But, most all that stuff is still just moving along and at their own pace. They're not going to give us a contract because a bunch of people on, X or stock twits want us to get a contract. They're going to give us a contract because we have a good drone, that we went through the process. We did all their testing and we're through it. So we'll get it when we get it. I mean, same thing no one believed that we got SRR for months. Then it got delayed a month or two. And then all of a sudden we finally got it. Like, oh gosh, okay. So we can't force people to do our contracts just because, they own stock.
Let me ask
We're a business. We're not a stock,
Yeah, let me ask you this question. Since you got the SRR, the announcement of, do you feel as though you have more opportunities on the table now than you did prior?
Absolutely. And anyone that wins a program of record instantly goes into onto a list of heavily vetted by the best army in the world. So when you win that, we will get other branches buying the Black Widow, which is normal. It's not like it's because we're specialists, because that's what people do. When the Army has a program of record, the other people buy. I mean, currently the Air Force is our largest customer until we get until we announce LRIP. So there's a lot of stuff that happens with that. Plus in NATO, same thing. Getting a program of record is a great checkbox for them in NATO countries.
So listen, when you guys were at the SHOT Show, I got to go down and meet Brian and Hitchcock, right? And
yep.
I mean, I love your team, man. You got a bunch of smart, passionate guys on your team, right?
Yeah, no, they worked hard to get us to where we are now, and now that we do have SRR, we get to start delivering and getting all these brand new Black Widows out to the sales team to go fly everywhere. That's a lot of times the last stage before you get contracts. They want to see it fly on the range, which is we're excited about, because we're excited about the Black Widow. We're excited about the Edge 130.
Right.
We did some really cool stuff in the last week with the Edge 130. So, there's going to be a lot of updates That's why we're going to have that meeting after Monday with the whole team, so people can get it from the people that are actually doing it instead of having to hear it, third party through me. But yeah, things are. It's going to be quite a 2025, and like I said, we are reiterating our guidance. There's a lot of activity around in the world that's exciting. We're at I'll be at Huntsville, Alabama tomorrow for the show that's there, and that's where the Army is, and that's where the PMUI office is. So should be an exciting week there for everything drones. But yeah, that's. I don't want to talk too much more until we have that meeting with the rest of the team and let them discuss.
14,000 drones. The 14,000, the order that you have, right? Is that 14,000 drones? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So the last couple times that I talked, with the office, with the Army, they just kept mentioning the. Well, they would state it as 14,000 drones, or they would say the 6,993 systems, or whatever it is the number they keep quoting us. So, our first goal is just to get a big chunk of those for LRIP.
Okay, so the big thing that I keep reading out there is you're gonna just the inability to be able to produce those drones.
Yeah, that's a little silly, and I've gone through all the numbers many times before. I think, and I don't even have the spreadsheet in front of me, but if we build 500 drones a month, we'll do about 240 million in a year. So we were building 200 plus Teal 2s before we basically kind of winded down the Teal 2s, other than stuff we have to save for Swarm, which has also been going really well. It's those numbers are tiny for us to hit these numbers. So I don't know how many more times we have to reiterate that doing 500 drones is not a big deal for us.
All right, I'm just trying to nail all the things that I get these guys coming back and yelling at me. Why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask that?
Okay.
Let's see what
Does
else.
anybody write anything down?
Well, you know what? It's just a lot of it is just the speculation. Then you get these jackasses that write these negative hit pieces, right? And
they're paid for by those short reports, and that's all lined up. And they actually the same with the lawyers. They hire the lawyers they go out all at the same day, and it's just coordinated.
You're right. It's a coordinated effort to scare people. And look, there's always going to be that time frame in between execution and delivery and the whole thing. And that's that unknown zone is where that's where they feast, right? They put out a very coordinated attack.
Everybody, it's our what we said, and when we had the town hall, we announced SRR. We said that we're going to get the features and the LRIP, and then the mass production. None of that's changed. We reiterated a few weeks ago in New York City. We had a great investor day. I got, after that short report came out, I met with a ton of investors. I got one fund to jump in and buy 12 point something million shares.
Speaking of that, do you have any conferences coming up that you're going to be attending? Any?
Yeah, we have been invited to so many in the last couple of weeks. I'll have a full schedule, and you'll see there some pretty elevated banks from where I've been in the past conferences. Although I've had some really good conferences recently, I'll have a pretty full schedule this year with some pretty massive banks that will have great funds at those shows. So I will have a pretty full schedule this year, and a lot of additions, and hopefully some more coverage coming our way.
So you just had somebody pick you up and put a $13 price target on you, right?
Yeah, Northland. He spent a lot of time, did a lot of work. I think that's a great report. Got a lot of feedback from a bunch of investors for it. So yeah, that's the latest one that out. I think Think Equity came out at 12 yesterday, and Ladenburg's at 15. Glenn's done a great job too. So you'll see continued coverage.
You're starting to talk to some institutions that before they wouldn't have even given you the time of day, right?
I've talked to the full team of analysts, all the way from Goldman Sachs down to almost everyone in the top 10.
And you never would. 6 months ago, you wouldn't have had those conversations, right?
No, a couple of them were starting to start to poke around. Actually, a couple of the large banks I just mentioned were going to have me at their conference. We're going to get invites. Save the date. So I'm going to have be able to meet a lot of great funds this year that I've never met with so far.
Okay. Which to me is all very good. You know what you don't seem like, Jeff, to me? And you've always been this way. You seem very comfortable, man. You seem very, very comfortable. I think if there were all these concerns out there, like everybody seems to think there are, I would sense it in you. I would. I just have that thing about me, and I don't sense anything at all.
I meet with the customers. I meet with our peers constantly. I've been meeting with our investors. Been on the road for 3 weeks. I took my first day off since mid-January, Friday, for my father-in-law's 80th birthday party that I hosted. But I'm in Saturdays and Sundays too. And not only us, my board's been working on the weekends, and we're all gun ho because this is a very interesting time to be making drones for the military, and we're not going to waste it. And we're going to make the Black Widows. We're going to make the Edge 130. We're going to turn the Edge 130 into the Triton. There's some other really great opportunities for us to expand our portfolio. So we're not going to let this great opportunity, and I hate calling it opportunity, but I didn't start these wars. So if I can help my warfighters and
But you know what I found interesting? I watched you do an interview the other day, and this is what this was so genuine, the way it came out from you. You are a serial entrepreneur. You've been involved in a lot of different businesses, right?
Yeah.
You love this business. You're having fun. You're having more fun
I
with
hope
this business than any other business you've been in.
If I could do this for the next 15 years, I would love it.
Right.
And I don't want to start another company and run it. I mean, when I started RCAT, I forgot, because my last company was basically on autopilot. I just founded it, took it public, was running it for 15 years, and I thought it was easy. I forgot how hard the beginning was, and starting a brand new drone company when drones weren't really, the business model in the United States is very difficult unless you're selling to the military. Hopefully now China's going to be out of here soon. That'll change the business model for the United States. But I don't want to start another startup. It's brutal, and the people I get to meet within this industry, specifically meeting a lot of these military leaders, they're incredible human beings. That a lot of people don't understand how smart the people are in the military.
Right. And I just sense that from you, man. I sense like this is where you're meant to be, right? I really feel that way.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it, but it is a very interesting industry. Actually, I got to fly this pretty large drone when I was at AIPCon the day before. By the way, California's cold. We spent the day out on the range flying, and they let me get on the sticks, which I warned them about. But I get to fly this pretty big bird, and it was so much fun. I mean, I had a blast, and it had a 200-pound dummy of a soldier inside of it.
Wow.
It's more to come on that. But it's which that 200 pounds could be explosives.
Wow.
Instead of a dummy.
I mean, look, I just look at it. This is such a young industry. I look at the amount of drones that are being. I look at all of this as a very positive thing, right? You have gotten over a hurdle that a lot of other companies have not been able to get over.
Yeah, no, we're like every other, I know you don't think we're a startup. I kind of think we're a startup with a ticker, but we have had some recent success. Even the TL2 to go from 0 to 18 million in 1 year was some great success. Our biz dev team did a lot of that.
Yeah.
But now that we know how it's done, now that we know how to build factories, now that we know what it takes to win a program of record, there's a lot less hurdles to get over in know-how than we had a year ago. and we can just keep stamping that model out. Helping startups that can't quite get over that hump, that have great tech, to do that. So I think to be in the drone industry, and this time, I mean, I mentioned this at the New York Investor Days. I've never been in a business that had any timing that's better than this. And all startups are timing.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have better timing in this industry than, I think, RedCat, Teal, Edge, and some of our other partners that were, in the RedCat Futures Initiative. There's just, in our partnership with UMAC, our other company, they're doing some great stuff. I'm so excited about the motors.
Right.
I've been really, I think that's one of the most important things that we need in the United States, and I think I'm so glad that UMAC's doing it. They're doing some really great stuff over there.
I think there's a lot there. I reflect back to when you and I first met, and there was a lot of fragmentation in the industry, and you noticed that very early on. And then you doubled the size of your facility, even though you didn't have the orders to substantiate the doubling the size of the facility. You had the chips on the shelf, right? Before we had the supply chain issues.
Now we can't figure out where to put more cubes in there already.
I mean, all of this stuff was stuff that you did a long time ago. And for some reason, when I read these articles and they talk about you and RedCat and how you're this was a little player that foresaw where things were going before anyone else did. So that's where I think they're underestimating your capabilities. They're underestimating RedCat's capabilities.
Yeah, it's a team effort. We have a good team. It's not just myself. And
and that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Hitchcock, all of these guys. Look, you're underestimating these guys. Hitchcock's been in the drone industry for how long? Long time, right?
I think 110 years. He's pretty big. I don't know if that joke's not going to go over very well.
I mean, you've got a very talented team, and I remember you telling me when you were setting up the factory expansion of it, and you were saying, Elon Musk says manufacturing is tough. It's hard, right?
Absolutely. It's to make stuff that comes off a line reliable, and hey, we're still not perfect yet. We got a lot of work to do, but we are, and we're never candy coating it. We have to go out and fly these things, test them thoroughly. Again, we've learned a lot in the last few years, and we got a lot less to learn going forward. And as we acquire companies like the Edge 130, it's going to be a little less heartache going through that process. And then the next one will be the same thing if we do any other acquisitions. We got a pretty good game plan on how we do this. We know what buckets that we'd like to help for the warfighters. We know what we need for the Taiwan Strait, or just say that Indo-PACOM region. We think there's some holes in the industry that we could fill. There's just so much opportunity, but you can't do it all, and we're not going to try to do it all. And that's why, frankly, we have the RedCat Futures Initiative, which can give us features on our drones, give us features on the new Edge 130. We're actually going to put visual navigation on the Edge 130 after we're done putting on the Black Widow, which we didn't even get into the visual navigation that we're doing with Palantir. It's by far going to make it one of the best drones out there, just because the way they do it and the access to real-time maps. No one can replicate that. We'll be the first out of the gate with it. I don't care how many other visual navigation companies you have. It's not going to compete with the Palantir software. They're going to dominate that space. And when we put that on the Edge 130, when we do Triton, it's going to be the longest flight time out there. So we got some machines that are going to be very differentiated from everybody else, no matter who they are, no matter how much funding they have. We're going to have birds that do stuff that theirs can't do.
Right. And that's what's exciting. I mean, look, you've been dealing with this customer for 5 years, right? I mean, you're getting to understand what your customer wants, what they need. And
we'll be with them all this week. So it's always good to get their feedback.
Right. Jeff, I don't know what else to say, man. I know you've had a rough go from some people, but they're underestimating RedCat.
Oh, I don't mind that. That's why I signed up for it. You know what? We're not a stock. We're a company. Let's build some drones, ship some drones. That's all we need to do. Put our heads down, make stuff that works, and we'll be fine. And I'm actually not worried about that crap. It's just we got to make drones, and drones are hard to make, and we got some of the best drones in the industry.
Right. You feel as though I missed anything here?
No, we always try to make this short and it never goes short.
I know, man, but you know, it's so important to these people. I mean, look, you are one of the most followed. You went from being not that followed to now you're very followed, right? Everybody wants to know what's going on with Red Cat.
No, we've got some. We're getting a lot of progress out there, and we try to, we're definitely trying to help retail stay connected. We've got a lot of institutional investors now. I mean, between myself and a few of the funds that jumped in the last month or two, is almost 30 million shares that are in such long hands. They'll never go anywhere for years.
This is,
So
look, this is what people need to understand. The retail investors, unfortunately, when the institutions get involved, the institutions are very strategic. They're not emotional. They're very strategic, right? It's the retail investors that get emotional and listen to some idiot on stock twits claiming how Jeff suckered you all into buying the shares and while he was dumping all that stupid shit that's being said.
hey, I'm one of those idiots on stock twits. I'm the shit poster.
You know what I'm saying? The ones that are saying
Yeah.
the bullshit that's not true. It's like they're trying to scare the retail investor into dumping their shares, right?
Yeah, no, it's whenever I get a fund that says, "Hey, we really like meeting with you," we're going to start accumulating. I always feel like they beat the stock up as they're buying, and
Absolutely.
it's like, and I'm like, when someone tells me that, "Oh yeah, we liked our meeting, we're going to start buying, we're going to start building a position," I'm like, oh, it seems like the stock gets beat up for a few days, and I have no idea if that's true. If I could determine who's buying stock, I wouldn't have to build drones for a living, but but we've got a lot of longs, a lot of family offices that'll spread out those shares about people that won't touch those shares for 5 years. So we're mopping up a lot of the shares, and once I think people will be excited when we have the next little town hall with the whole team. We announced our
What do you think?
contracts.
There's a pretty high short interest out on you right now. What do you think about that? It's
Well,
like,
with this market, has gone up pretty high on the short side. It gives you a spring load once we start making announcements.
right.
You can't think about the shorts, and we've got a very high likelihood of being on the Russell 2000. So which I've been on there before with previous companies that I founded. So there's a couple things. It's really exciting. Some people that have analyzed what will happen with us going on the Russell is the indexes has to buy about 12 million of our shares. And I don't know how he got that number, but he's a pretty smart guy. And you know who you are.
When does that happen? That happens at the end
May.
of.
That happens in May when they announce
Okay.
the reconstitution. But then the other part of that is which there'll be some other shares that anyone that shorts the Russell 2000 will be shorted, and those shares won't disappear at all. They'll be on an index for shorting the Russell 2000. So that's something that's coming. I just I want the retail guys to understand that's just natural. It's not that they don't like our company; they're just shorting the whole Russell. But I think the only thing that's going to get the high percentage of shorts out of the way is just revenue announcements. That's it. We're just going to keep doing that.
Right. I love it, man. No nonsense. Just make it happen, right?
Yep, that's what we got to do. We're in go time. It's 2025. There's no more talking about winning an SRR. We already won it. Now we have to build drones and deliver them to the Army.
All right, Jeff, man. Congratulations on everything. And when you have, you're going to have the town hall. Make sure everybody tunes in for that. I'm sure that's.
Yeah, we'll promote that pretty well. It's going to be an exciting, fun day. But we got Monday. We'll announce the date on Monday when we do the 2-month earnings. We'll talk to you Monday for a little bit. That'll be a pretty short call. But we're going to have a pretty extensive call. We'll take retail. We'll take everything. We have the 3 analysts. So I'm sure they'll be on there. We'll probably have maybe even more analysts on there for that call too. And it'll be a good day and get a lot of information out to everybody so they can be informed.
So the CFO, you're real happy with the CFO?
Yeah, we did a huge search. we had like 5 great candidates. Then we got down to 3 great candidates. And Chris, I call him Christian because we have so many Chris's on our team, but he goes by Chris. Yeah, I think everyone's going to love him. Our board loves him. Team loves him. He's there every day in Salt Lake City now. He works there. He's not remote. So yeah, we're very pleased. It was a very extensive search.
All right, man. Congratulations, Jeff. We'll talk again soon.
Great. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, hold on one second. I'm gonna shut this off.